Please bet on football games.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Please Bet on Football Games podcast. I am your host, Alex, here with the on-air talent, Joe. Joe, how's it going today?
Can you believe there are really people who ever doubted us, including myself?
I was about to say, including the host and co-host of this podcast.
Yeah, I doubted us. I shouldn't have. What are we at now?
After a plus 3.6 week, we are now up to, I believe, 4.6 units on the year.
Pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering 6 weeks ago, we were down like 11 units.
Yeah. I got to get some advertising out of the way. We have a sponsor. It's called My Fucking Patreon. My Patreon, Money Where the Film is up 6 units on the season now, after a similarly bad start. And just because I'm a little bit more aggressive with my own money, dude, I'm up 20 units on the year.
That's pretty good. There was a
Flat.
point where you were pretty upset about doubling your units this coming into this year,
Yeah.
but we're back.
I should have quadrupled them. Yeah, no, on the year, I am up.
Damn, that's a lot.
I paused it so as to not expose my financial information to you, the lovely audience. So, how did we get here? How did this week happen?
All right, so Thanksgiving week football. First up, we had a couple of bets involving Turkey Day. We had Green Bay -3 over Miami. That was a 1-unit bet. Easy.
So remarkably easy. Honestly, we should have bet more. I was afraid of Jordan Love, but Jordan Love played his best game of the year. Legitimately solid, clean football.
And the Dolphins can't play in the cold thing continues.
Yeah, I can't, I hate that though, because the Dolphins suck. They have no quarterback. It wasn't that Tua threw different because of the cold. He looked like he always looks. So, I mean, God forbid the Dolphins ever play a bad team in the cold. We'll bet on them. But the Dolphins can't beat a good team because their quarterback is extremely limited and it inhibits their entire offense.
Yeah, that was a lot of what our bet ended up being, and it cashed. Now, additionally, on Thursday, we had a little parlay, our Turkey Day parlay, the official one, which was Detroit -1.5 and Green Bay money line. That was another 1-unit bet. It was just -110.
Yeah, I told you guys not. I think it was plus 150. I told you guys not to bet it one way or another because it was 3 legs. I'll tell you exactly what it was.
No, you're thinking of the unofficial Turkey Day parlay. This was the official one that we actually bet on.
The official one was good.
Now,
the unofficial one was better.
The unofficial one was betting on all 3 games. We had Detroit -2, Green Bay money line, and the Giants -7.5, and that was plus 175.
Giants plus 7.5. And it's a good thing that we got 7.5 because 7 would not have cashed.
Exactly. Now, we didn't even actually bet on that, but
I told you it would be irresponsible. Remember when I asked who would have doubted us? I doubted us. I should not have.
But we came out of Thanksgiving 2-0, up 1.8 units. On to Sunday, we had the Chargers over Atlanta -1.5. That was our co-best bet. It cashed.
On one hand, we got really lucky that the Falcons threw 4 interceptions, almost all of them in crucial parts of the game, and they missed a kick.
Yeah.
Cousins threw a pick 6. He threw a pick on 4th down with a chance to tie or win the game. He threw a pick in the end zone, and he threw one more pick that was less consequential than the other 3. But that's 3 really high leverage picks. Frankly, I think we got lucky on that game, but I also think we got a little unlucky because Justin Herbert played legitimately not very good. One might even say kind of bad. I gave him a C+, but we're talking about a guy who very consistently puts together A+ games. So I think that the takeaway needs to be 1, we can't count on Justin Herbert putting together consistent A+ games every week, even though he did for most of November. And 2, we need to kind of look to selectively fade the Chargers because Jim Harbaugh's dumbass, his takeaway from the Ravens game was, I need to go for it on 4th down sometimes. And his manner of doing doing that, his execution was a fake punt screen on 4th and 4 in his own territory for no reason at all. Like, I swear to God, Jim Harbaugh is what happens if you just give a man with 65 IQ unlimited time and access to old movies and ESPN, and he just learns what a football coach is supposed to be like. Like, he's like when you're 8 years old and you're like, ooh, I want to go for it on 4th down, and you're playing Madden, and so you think you have to do the fake punt, and it's like, no. You could put your all-world quarterback out there and run slants, dude. Like, you can run a play. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers are at that weird point where they have a coach that largely holds them back. I mean, we have and will continue to give him credit for hyping up Justin Herbert, and the defense is playing well.
Yeah, both of those are true, and I do lose sight of those things.
But he's bad on 4th downs. He's not great with the clock. He's not a great head coach in general. So yeah, I think when they play actual good teams, then we should look to fade them.
Absolutely. They're fraudulent, but they will be consistently good against bad teams. I think that's a perfect read. Wait, where have I heard that before? It's a classic Harbaugh trope. It's genetic.
All right, and on to one of our losses. We had Minnesota over Arizona -3.5. They won by 2.
I think they might have even won by 3. No, it was 2.
I knew it was close, but
Minnesota keeps on playing the same game for like 3 straight weeks where they absolutely fucking dominate, and then they fumble at the goal line, or Sam Darnold throws a pick that you don't see coming, and they end up winning, but the game ends up being close for absolutely no goddamn reason. Also, Aaron Jones just addicted to fumbling for the last like 3 weeks, and it's crushing my fantasy team. My confidence in the Vikings has never wavered. However, I think that we have to consider possibly not laying big spreads, so anything over 3 with them, just because they seem to be in a funk that they need to get out of. That being said, it all has been fluky. Like, yeah, they didn't get an onside kick against the Bears. They fumbled at the goal line like twice in every fucking game for the last month. And these things can't continue, but it feels bad. So I guess maybe, if anything, if we're being really analytical about it, the Vikings are a value, as you know, their value's gone up because the games are closer than they should be.
That's true, but I think also at a certain point, if they spend half the season with terrible red zone turnovers, maybe they're not good in the red zone. Maybe they struggle when the field gets short. I don't know.
But the problem is that the plays are working and there are empty rushing lanes, and then like Aaron Jones just fumbles the handoff, or like trips over his own feet and fumbles on the ground. Like it's fluky shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think I generally agree with you. They haven't done anything that scares me away, but it does temper a little bit. But
yeah, like it's one of those things similar to the Chargers where like when they step up in class and they play against the true stalwarts of the league, I don't know if they're going to be able to get away with that shit. But on the other hand, maybe these mental errors are because you're dominating the Cardinals and they can't move the ball on you, so you feel a sense of complacency. You're dominating the Bears and they suck ass, so you feel a sense of complacency. I don't know. It's tough to handle the voodoo of fumbling, and it might just be that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, it's a tough loss, but 3.5, we know what we get ourselves into when we take those numbers.
Yeah, when you lay 3.5, you're playing on a razor's edge, unless it's a blowout. It wasn't a blowout, which means it was a razor's edge, and because of 2 fumbles by the Vikings, we didn't get the margin we probably should have. So it's a coin flip and therefore a deserved loss.
I agree. Moving on. Another win. We had Seattle over the Jets, -2. That was a 2-unit bet. It cashed.
This was a very strange game because God wanted the Seahawks to lose. They fumbled twice in the first quarter. It was 21-3 in the first quarter off of turnovers and special teams kick return touchdown. The Jets, every kick return the Jets had went out to like midfield. The Seahawks could not stop turning the ball over for no reason at all. And when push came to shove, the Jets could do nothing about it. Devontae Adams had a crucial drop on a 4th down streak. And I think we deserved to win handily, much less narrowly. Like, totally deserved it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we should have won that game. I thought we lost it for probably 90% of that game.
Same. We were texting in the first quarter and we were like, we're cursed. Laviska Shenault has fumbled 3 times on kick returns. This is ridiculous. Yeah. And it didn't end up mattering.
Yeah, we survived it.
And
So that was
Laviska
another
Shenault
nice dub.
Laviska Shenault got cut, and Zach Charbonnet on his 38th short yardage attempt finally had a successful run.
A win.
A win.
On to our bigger loss, which was we had Tennessee over Washington. We had them 2 units split into 1 unit on the money line, which was plus 210, and then 1 unit on the spread at plus 5.5. That was never a game. It was over before the first quarter ended. We deserved to lose.
I don't know. I don't know if we deserve to lose because the game was literally over within 3 snaps. I sat down excited to grade this game for both of the quarterbacks. The game was over. Will Levis had 3 dropbacks. Jaden Daniels had 9. That's insane. But it started off. I guess we deserve to lose because the Titans could not stop the run at all. The Commanders had 100 yards rushing in the first quarter, and that is aided by the fact that, off the bat, first drive for the Titans, and this is emblematic of the entire day. First drive, false start, run for no yardage, screen for 2-yard loss. Will Levis has to throw on 3rd and 22 from his own goal line, and what do you know? He almost gets sacked. He trucks the sacking attempter and throws the ball away, but no hope. Next drive, so Commanders obviously get the ball at midfield, run it down their throat, touchdown. Titans try again, get the ball moving, running back fumbles. Commanders walk 20 yards for another touchdown. It was 14-0 before you could blink, and it was 21-0 before you could really swallow, and it was 28-3 before half. If the Titans get off to a reasonable start, not even a good start, just one that makes sense on this planet, maybe everything's okay. But we don't live in that world, and anytime you lose by 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, you got to just own it.
Yep. Yeah, I think, we can say that it was crazy, but they still gave up the points. It wasn't fluky. They're just not very good sometimes.
Well, they're an extremely poorly coached team. That's all it is. They're an extremely poorly coached team, constant penalties unprovoked, constant turnovers, really, yeah. And once they're down, they can't come back because they literally have no right half of their offensive line.
Yeah, but I think we deserve to lose it.
Yeah.
Hurt a little bit, such is life. And then we had one more parlay on the week, which was Tampa and Minnesota, both money line. That was a plus 115 bet. That one was scary as hell for both sides, but
that was a sweat.
Cash.
Yeah, Tampa upset me there. Baker didn't play very well either. Him and Herbert both had similarly kind of days. The Buccaneers game was a coin flip. Yes, they got lucky to recover that fumble. They also got unlucky to miss the kick to win the game. Baker Mayfield also threw, I think, a pick 6 and a regular pick. That's not very typical of Baker Mayfield, especially this season. If you want to tell me the Panthers deserve to win, I'd say that's fine. But if you also want to tell me the Buccaneers outplayed them and should have never been in that position in the first place, I'd say, yeah, that's probably true as well. So this is a 50-50. We ended up on the right side of it. That's lucky, but just like we can't cry when the Vikings fail to cover 3 and a hook. We also, can't sit here and apologize because the Buccaneers won outright when it was a 50-50 proposition, just like 3 and a hook. Those 2 games are good examples of this is gambling. You win half the time.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we bought all the way down to money line. I think we expected it to be at least somewhat close.
Yeah.
And that's why we bought down to money line. Because
and by the way,
sometimes when you have a team that's fighting for the playoffs and another team that is just trying to learn some stuff or improve on some things, in the tight games, normally the playoff team is more likely to pull it out.
Yeah. Also, we need to focus on the fact that if it wasn't for yet another Todd Bowles 30-second collapse on defense, the Buccaneers walk away winning in regulation.
True, but that's also
what happens when you bet on Todd Bowles.
Yeah, it's which we say every week, and then somehow end up putting some money involved with the Bucs.
Of course. Did you hear his post-game interview, or not interview, just his speech to the team?
Mm-mm.
He was proud of them for this game because they learned how to finish, whereas in past games they didn't know how to finish. So apparently Todd Bowles thinks that the good outcome that they have learned to do, they never would have thought of this before, is to give up a last-minute touchdown with enough time for Baker Mayfield to bail your ass out with excellent 2-minute drive play, and then win the coin toss in overtime, miss a field goal, allow an easy march into field goal range, and then recover a fluky fumble, and then finally kick the field goal because Baker Mayfield marches you down the field again. I don't think Todd Bowles understands that strippers are not taking their clothes off because they're excited to see him, but rather because there's money involved. Like I think this man legitimately can't think past the very surface level of any happening. I think if you flipped a coin 3 times and it came up heads 3 times, Todd Bowles would say, well, that coin obviously always lands heads. I think that if you asked Todd Bowles to manage his own finances, he would drool on himself because he has a cognitive disability.
Jesus.
I think Todd Bowles is developmentally anomalous. I really don't think anything of the man. I think he is a poor specimen of humankind. Probably very nice.
I was going to say, everyone that talks to him says he's a great guy.
Look up the etymology of the word nice. It used to mean people with Down syndrome. It's not a joke.
They are typically very friendly. So.
Exactly. And they're wonderful people. I'm now related to some. I'll update you on that later. I got one.
Another one?
No, we only got one of those. We got a bunch of other stuff.
All right, let's talk about week 14.
It's not much more fun than talking about the etymology of the word nice.
In Joe's colorful family background.
It's a good gene pool. 2 out of every 50 turn out literate.
I don't know if those are the odds you're looking for.
I'm one of the 50. I'm good. Let's do it.
All right, quick recap. We won 3.6 units off of 9.5 bet. It was another week above 60%. We won 62.5% of our bets, which is now 4 straight weeks being above 60%. And what are we, 6 weeks winning?
Sounds right. Yeah, six weeks in a row. And wow, a 33% ROI on the week. I'll take that every day.
Absolutely. All right, week 4. First up on Thursday night, we have the Green Bay Packers going to play the Detroit Lions. The Lions are minus 3.5.
This is difficult. So we've established that if and when the Packers win, they win by as many, the Lions. If and when the Lions win, they win by as many as they can or want to, right? They like to run up scores. They're probably not feeling great about almost blowing a game to the Bears last week. There's blood in the water. On the other side, I think that the Packers are a little underrated because Matt LaFleur will always find a way to win.
I think if we bet on this game, I would want to bet on the Packers.
Same.
If only because part of the reason the Lions almost blew that game was because their entire defensive line got hurt.
Yeah, they got 9 defensive starters out, I believe, at this point.
So, and they're not like just sort of banged up. They're like done or out for multiple weeks. And now they're playing the Packers, who run the ball well and have confusing concepts.
Yep.
And we're getting that 3.5. It's a division game. I expect it to be close. Both teams are good. They're fighting for playoff positioning. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think the Packers are the underrated team. And at 3.5, but
it's 3.5. We're taking the Packers. It's a division game on a Thursday night, which is always way closer than it should be. Like, that's when fuck shit happens. And we arguably get a same caliber team. Like, the coaching advantage is a slight lean to Detroit, right? Because Green Bay's got the genius offensive head coach, but he's not awesome on 4th down. Whereas the Lions are awesome on 4th down and have a better offensive coach. Quarterbacks, pretty even. Jared Goff is much more consistent and therefore better on average, but Jordan Love is much more explosive and he can hit that 1 or 2, crazy, what the fuck, why'd he even try that throws that change a game. You got a slow fucking secondary in Detroit, at least in the corners. Give it up to Brian Branch. I thought he would be solid, but wouldn't have the athleticism to be truly great in the NFL. He's truly great in the NFL. He's so good. He's awesome. But you can exploit those linebackers in Detroit. The defensive line is kind of poopy. You can exploit the corners, especially with speed. You know that Christian Watson's going to catch at least 1 streak for 40 yards. Yeah, fuck it.
I don't love it just because the Lions at any point can go crazy and they might be able to just run all over them.
Yeah, but if they can run all over them, it's not going to be a big blowout. It's going to be a close game.
True. But I think we get the right number. We get the team that's got better value.
We get the team that people aren't betting on like crazy. The Lions are the most public team in the NFL.
Yeah. And, they have the best record.
True.
But I think, we have some of the little factors going towards us of it's a short week, it's a division game, and we get the hook.
Also, I don't know if you noticed or saw, Jahmyr Gibbs posted some shit online leaking the Lions' protections and audibles. And Dan Campbell's announcement was, and like he did this on a Friday, right? So like they don't have enough time to install a whole new fucking protection scheme, rename everything. They're on a short week this week anyway. Because go home Thursday night. You can't change anything till Friday morning, but they're not coming in Friday because Thanksgiving. They're not coming in Saturday because it's always your day off, 2 days after a game. Maybe they come in Sunday, but maybe not. So you got Monday, Tuesday to install a whole new fucking system? No chance in hell. It would take more than a week anyway. So Dan Campbell basically said, like, fuck it. We don't care. If they know our protections, we still have to try to beat them. Well, it's an advantage. I don't know if it means that Green Bay wins, but if it is worth 2 points, we run away with this bet. So fuck it. Green Bay is going to be a bet, especially because this week sucks.
Yeah, I think plus 3.5. It's a good team. See what happens. But on to Sunday. First up, we have the New York Jets going to play the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are -6.
I'm not laying 6 with the Dolphins.
Nope.
And I can't imagine the Jets want to play football.
Yeah, you'd think that there would be spots for rebounds for them, but I just don't think they care.
These are two enigmatic and gross teams that I'm not touching.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons going to play the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are -5.5.
All right, so let's get this out of the way. No such thing as a Kirk Cousins revenge game. They asked him about it on Pardon My Take, and he said, I don't really feel that way. I'm so happy, and I love the people that I worked with in Minnesota, and I only wish them the best. I don't think he has capacity for revenge. It is not in him. Damn, the Calgary Flames scored. That said, we just got done talking about how maybe with the Vikings, we don't lay that many points.
Yep. I don't think we can bet on this game.
I think it's a nice fucking leg.
Yeah.
The Vikings are going to run all over them. They're going to move the ball at will. It's just a matter of, can they stop fumbling? Can they get their shit together? Will they be able to avoid the pitfall of garbage time versus Kirk Cousins?
Exactly.
I would be surprised.
And that's another reason I don't want to do it is at 5.5, that is ripe for a backdoor, and Kirk Cousins is elite at backdoor covers because he's a good quarterback that just doesn't really have the athletic ability anymore. But you give him a little bit of space and time, he'll drive down the field.
Yeah, dude, I actually saw something recently. Of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, so NGS tracks like the speed of the ball when it's thrown. Kirk Cousins throws the ball with the least velocity on average of anybody in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Like, you see it when he plays. It just looks like the ball just floats.
I mean, he can't drive off of his legs anymore, and he never had a strong arm to begin with. So, yeah, I think it's a great leg. I don't think we can bet more than that just because I don't trust the Vikings. Like, it'd be one thing if the Vikings had a game or two where they kept on having fumbles and goal line turnovers and bullshit that caused them to fail to win by margin. But it's been like a month now of games they've dominated turning into nail biters for no good reason. So
yeah, and it's been multiple people. Like, it hasn't just been one thing. Like, it's been Aaron Jones fumbling, it's been Darnold throwing picks, it's been Darnold fumbling. It's a lot of people that are screwing up.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with leaving it until they show us a little something, or they just play a worse team.
Yeah, or a better team with a smaller spread. Like, I just don't want to lay. I don't want to lay big points. Next game.
Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints going to play the New York Giants. The Saints are -5.
I think this line's right. I'm surprised at this line. People don't realize that the Saints have actually been good since Derek Carr returned. They were unlucky to lose to the Rams last week, but I don't trust the Saints to win by margin against anybody, even the Giants.
Nope. What's the weather going to be like?
30 degrees and snowing. Who does that help?
I don't know.
Does it help mistake-prone Drew Lock? Does it help the Giants who can't stop the run? Does it help the Saints who love to run the ball?
Okay, so this is a thing that Joe Thomas has talked about, and I think if you paid attention to that Browns-Steelers game from last week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever the heck it was, running is not easier in the snow.
I agree.
Passing is.
I agree.
Because cornerbacks are running backwards, and it's harder to stay tight on a guy when you're both slipping.
Yeah.
And so a step of space in snow is a lot more than a step of space in clear because it's harder to close that gap. So I don't think that the running, like the fact that the Saints are going to run better, matters. I don't want to bet on this game because I think the only way you can really go is bet on the Giants at 5 and snow.
Yeah.
But they're still a bad team, And sure, that snow might keep it closer, but it could also turn it into Drew Lock throws 4 interceptions. And just by virtue of existing, the Saints win by 3 touchdowns.
I was going to say, like, I'm not sure I trust the Giants to pass half as well as the Saints. Like, I think the Saints are better in all facets.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at 5 with snow, I think there's reason that you could go with the Giants just because it's probably going to make it a lower scoring game. Granted, that Browns Steelers game was not low scoring because of the snow. But you have one bad team and one kind of mid team. So they're probably not going to do as well. I don't know. We should just move on.
Yeah, you don't want to bet on shitty teams and weirdly motivated falling apart because of injury teams. Fuck it, next game. Oh my God, no.
Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers going to play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are minus 12.5.
The bet is Carolina. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think if we get to a point where we can't find any other bets, I'd be fine just throwing it on Carolina because Bryce Young has been playing well lately, and it's 12.5. Like, yeah, the Eagles are a much better team, and they're going to be able to run all over them, but you just got to get under 2 touchdowns. That's doable.
Yeah, like, it's tough because I do really love what I've seen from the Eagles lately. Like, their defensive line is unstoppable. I love it. Birdwatcher, perk up because I'm about to really love up your Eagles. I love the defensive line for the Eagles. The cornerbacks are now awesome. Like, okay, big moment for the culture. You see Cooper DeJean just putting Derrick Henry in the dirt.
Yeah, no, that was a perfect tackle.
Not to advertise a different podcast, but the intro to Matt and Shane this week was just a cut up of Cooper DeJean tackling Derrick Henry that one time. And it was very funny. Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. Just a little indie project I enjoy sometimes. So if your defensive line is sick as hell and your secondary is suddenly sick as hell after years of being a problem, you got to imagine the linebackers are probably like a pretty big liability, right? Wrong. Zach Baun is on a tear. I wish I could do what I usually do and just blame it on Trend, but it can't be Trend because he's built like a wide receiver. He's just so fast. Shame on all the teams in the NFL that tried to make him a defensive end when he first came into the league.
Seriously.
Like, it's not the first time we've seen it. Like, teams, for whatever reason, during the 2010s, teams did not know what to do with really athletic, tweener-sized linebackers. Like Hassan Reddick, let's make him a middle linebacker. No! You drafted him because he got 20 sacks at Temple. Make him go get sacks. Like, maybe Isaiah Simmons is a safety. Oh, he's a linebacker. He's just a good space line. He's good in space. I mean, he's not great in coverage because he's dumb, but he's athletic. So use him that way. And now Zach Baun. He's fast and quick and flexible. Edge? No! You drafted him because he was a good linebacker. Make him a linebacker. So, regardless, the Eagles are sick as hell on all 3 levels of the defense and have a really good defensive coordinator. They've arguably they probably got the second best offensive line in football. They got A.J. Brown, who's a monster. They got Devontae Smith, who, when he heals up, will be solid. The only blemish on their team whatsoever, because Nick Sirianni, not a great coach, but he goes for it on 4th down appropriately. Mm-hmm. The only blemish on their team is that Jalen Hurts kind of sucks. Like, there's nothing he does well. I defy Eagles fans. Birdwatcher, that includes you. Just like name one thing that you're like, hey, Jalen Hurts does this thing and nobody else is really that much better. And you can't even say the tush push anymore because once it turns out Jason Kelce had a lot more to do with that than Jalen Hurts. It's good, but it's not unstoppable anymore like it was. So, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Saquon because he is the best running back in the NFL right now, and boy, do I feel dumb. He wasn't very good in New York with the Giants. He was good, not great. But it turns out, like, the knock that I always had on him and that you shared with me is that his vision as a runner is bad. But a good friend, my buddy Drew, pointed out it might be that when you have more consistent holes to rush through, your vision gets better, right? Like almost the equivalent of a quarterback who plays hero ball suddenly having checkdowns to hit. Suddenly he's not making the reckless decisions because he has easy decisions that are better. So maybe Saquon, with a good offensive line and a well-designed run scheme, doesn't make as risky or stupid of decisions on which hole to run through because there are easier, clearer holes to rush through and he can hit them. So why would you not bet on this team winning every single game by 25 points? Well, their quarterback is just not that guy. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's everything we've talked about of Jalen Hurts. Like, they had blemishes, now they don't really.
Yeah.
I think as far as the Saquon thing, like, I think he had to learn a little bit of how to read, a defensive line and how the linebackers move and everything more than he did in college. And I think that's part of why it's taken him time. But yeah, undoubtedly, when you run behind the Eagles' offensive line, who have made bad running backs look good, if you're an athletic guy whose biggest problem is what decision to make, if they make the decision for you, then you just get to go be way more athletic than everybody else.
Well, and
so
I think
that plays into it as well. But no, he's absolutely having the best year and is the best running back in football right now.
I also think that he's actually improved himself. And, I don't think that players really ever develop. I don't think that a player changes too much based on who's around him or what plays are being called for him. I think that who's around him or the plays that are being called for him can highlight what a player has or lowlight them. But I think the player is the player, typically. I think that Saquon having such consistently good blocking has just made him more patient because he's like, I don't love that hole. I can wait a second. I can bounce it outside. I don't have to take a bad lane. Whereas with the Giants, he was like, all right, that's something. I might not get anything else in a minute. Just got to take it. And then you get stopped for 3 yards. And you don't get in space to show off that you can jump over a guy backwards. So
yeah, I think that's a good point.
That's all the Eagles love I got for you. The Panthers are also way better now than they were just 2-3 weeks ago. Like, they looked legitimately stout against the run against Tampa Bay. And yes, Tampa Bay eventually piled up a lot of yardage, but we're talking about a Panthers team that on the season is the worst in the league against the run. They looked more than capable against Tampa. We're talking about a Panthers offense that until very recently looked completely hopeless. Suddenly, it's working. And Jonathan Brooks, their rookie running back who's finally back from injury, he's good. He's going to be a guy. So I think the Panthers are severely underrated. And despite the fact I think that the Eagles are really, really, really good, 2 touchdowns is a crazy line. And yeah, this has to be like this is our fallback, right? This is if we're not married by the time we're both 40, we just tie the knot. Everybody had that one middle school friend, right?
Sure.
Wasn't just me. That was relatable, right?
I didn't know I was your if we're not married by 40.
No, you are not. It was a girl named Mackenzie from freshman year of high school. Unfortunately, she just got married, so I'm screwed.
Uh-oh.
Drat.
All right, so that's our fallback. We will leave it to the side and move on to our next game. We have the Cleveland Browns going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are -6.5.
I don't know if I can bet on Jameis Winston because I quote, Lord deliver me from pick sixes. Did you watch the video of that quote?
I did. It was incredible.
I've never laughed and cried at the same like that was heartbreaking. Just a grown-ass man sitting at a podium in a Letterman jacket saying with a smile on his face saying, I know I can be better than this. Like, it's like some Disney Channel level shit where he's so optimistic and pure and happy, but also so destroyed. I don't know how, like, if that was me, I'd be like breaking down, knowing that I'm capable of more, but not accomplishing it. I'd be breaking down like the first 8 weeks of this season betting on football games. But the optimism and the faith that he displays is both inspiring and devastating. And I can't bet on that because God damn it, dude. I mean, just last night, Monday Night Football against the Broncos. Amazing game. But he threw 2 touchdowns to the Broncos and a fucking pick at the goal line. If he just doesn't do 3 of the dumbest things I've ever seen on a football field, he takes 21 points away from the Broncos and he wins walking away. Think about that.
Yeah, I mean, he threw for almost 500 yards and 4 touchdowns.
And then another 160 to the Broncos with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Jeudy had 235 yards.
Let's talk about my boy Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I'm so happy he's finally thriving.
15% of his career receiving yards have come from Jameis Winston. He's played 4 or 5 games with Jameis Winston.
It's awesome.
I love it.
Jameis is fun is because he's like, screw it. I'm going to throw it to my guy.
Dude, Jameis is fun because Jameis is legitimately a polished, accurate, athletically capable, right? He doesn't have a big arm, but he's got enough arm. Jameis is basically Sam Darnold if every once in a while Sam Darnold stared at a linebacker and said, well, I've come this far, and threw it right at him anyway. Like that, you can see, I know what's going on in Jameis's head on that first pick six, where he has a flat and he has a linebacker between him and the flat. Because as in hockey, I'm a goalie, right? And so sometimes I have to pass the puck up the ice, and I can't because I'm a goalie. And sometimes I look at the ice and I'm like, I don't have an angle. I kind of just have to fire it through this guy and hope he doesn't pick it off. And that's exactly, Jameis looked at the linebacker, looked at the guy behind him, and he was like, maybe if I just throw it hard, he'll miss it. And that's a really terrible way to make a decision in the NFL, especially on a throw within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. That's like the worst possible way you can think about it. But that's how he thinks about it. Same with the quick out, the second pick six. That's a sentence I should never say. But the quick out, he's got off coverage and he stares at it. And the defender locks eyes with him and stares back at him and starts to walk forward like, I'm going to jump this route. And Jameis throws it anyway, as if to say, no, you won't. Jameis, if you had Josh Allen's arm, maybe it would just be batted down. But you don't. And you never did. And you're 30. What are you doing? So you can't bet on Jameis. However, on the other side of the coin, 6 is too many for these Steelers. They live and die by the deep ball, and the Browns are really good at defending the deep ball.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns give up explosive plays, but generally they're good at protecting in the secondary.
Well, yeah, like the Browns give up explosive plays, but it's typically not big air yards. It's chunks and then after the catch.
Well, I mean, even that Broncos game was a perfect example where there were, I think, 2 touchdowns, at least one, where the guy was open by 15 yards. Because the Browns do bust coverages.
They do bust coverages. They do. I guess I'm locking in on the fact that when the ball's in the air and it's a jump ball, Ward, Emerson, and Newsome all have really good ball skills to high point and break it up. And the Broncos were 2 of 9 on deep attempts last night, but those 2 were both huge touchdowns, and one was busted, you're right, and then one was just a crazy good throw that was honestly reckless. Yeah, no, I don't want to bet on this game at all.
No, I mean, granted, they played 2 weeks ago.
And Pittsburgh's pissed about it because they feel like the snow stole a win from them.
Sure.
I don't know if they're right, but...
And I think that game was much bigger for the Browns than it was the Steelers.
Yeah.
And now you're going to Pittsburgh. So, you'd go, well, they won by 5. Yeah, it was a close game, but now you're getting a touchdown. But... I don't know. The Browns' line has been a little better. I mean, Conklin's back and fully, kind of up to speed. Who knows? Maybe Jed Wills will play.
Is that a good thing?
I don't know. Probably not.
Dude, Titans fans are already starting to pencil him in as their starting right tackle next year, and they're happy about it. And every time I see it, I just shake my head. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That would actually be the perfect match, though. The Titans love getting offensive tackles that aren't good and also hate football.
Yeah, but I'm heavily invested in Will Levis stock, so I need that to not happen.
He's not going to do anything until he ends up on his second contract somewhere else.
Just another Sam Howell.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you made me pick, I'd go with the Browns because it's 6.5.
Same, and I think we might have to toss a quarter unit or something on Browns plus 240 money line. But we'll revisit. We'll revisit. We're not even through noon. We got plenty of games.
All right. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders going to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are minus 6.5.
I hate Todd Bowles because this should be the easiest money of my life, and it's just not. Hey, did you know that the Buccaneers, if they win this game, which they should absolutely win, and if the Vikings beat the Falcons, which they absolutely should, the Buccaneers would still be in first place despite Todd Bowles bungling half the season. Despite Todd Bowles going out of his way to lose 2 games to their greatest division rival, the Falcons, despite outplaying the hell out of them and blowing the Chiefs game that they should have won, and all the injuries and blowingness of the Baltimore game, the Buccaneers would still be in first place with a 70% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to win this game, but it's 6.5. And
I know. No, no. For betting purposes. For betting purposes, we cannot. But just for novelty, how insane is it that despite having like the only coach dumber than Matt Eberflus and Gerard Mayo, the Buccaneers are still right in the thick of it.
Yeah, and he's in what, like year 4 with them?
Uh-huh. Dude, Todd Bowles must have some kind of compromat. It's compromising material for those of you who are not initiated, who haven't watched The Americans. Because he coached for like 3 years with the Jets and sucked on donkey anus.
Mm-hmm.
And finally got fired, and people were like, no, he's still a genius. And it's like, no. And Bruce Arians, how do we say this politely, determined that merit would not necessarily be the basis of Todd Bowles continuing to have a career in the NFL. Is that a way to say it? It's a little bit of cronyism and a little bit of nepotism and a little bit of one other thing that I'm not going to say shit about. And 4 years into that program, Todd Bowles caused Tom Brady to have a losing record for the first time ever. And Todd Bowles basically caused Tom Brady to retire because he was so inept that Tom Brady couldn't handle it anymore. And Todd Bowles has the worst defense in the league. And there is not even a whiff. There is not even one single radiant ray of heat coming off of his seat. Nobody is scrutinizing this man, despite the fact that he's got like a top 10 play caller as his offensive coordinator, who is certainly going to get a head coach job this spring. And the Buccaneers are just going to let Liam Cohen walk out the door, because where else are you going to find a fucking legitimate person with a mental disability who can stand and chew gum at the same time? I mean, you could go to your local Publix and find whoever's bagging your groceries, but I mean, that would be a whole trip. I hate Todd Bowles. I hate Todd Bowles on a personal level. If I ever met him, I'd slap him and say, "You're too dumb. Stop. Go home. You're a millionaire for being legitimately one of the dumbest people I've ever heard speak. Fucking cut your losses. Go home. There is no glory for you. You're inept. You've already stolen from the fairness of this universe. We will never live in a just society where you are employed." I hate Todd Bowles.
Are you sure?
Buccaneers -6.5. No.
Absolutely not.
No, actually, I think that the Buccaneers are a particularly terrible matchup for the Raiders because Brock Bowers, arguably the best tight end in the world right now. As a rookie, he's just going to eat over the middle because of the way that Todd Bowles, his entire defense is prevent defense. There is nobody within 20 yards of the center of the field at any given moment, and Brock Bowers will be wide open, and Aiden O'Connell's not a smart man, and he's not a talented man, but he can play catch with his father, 10-yard tosses right over the middle, and they'll eat.
Mm-hmm. I think it could be another week of Tampa and Minnesota moneyline parlay. But
it's legitimately, this game is going to be an exact repeat of last week against Carolina. And somehow the Glazer family, with all their billions of dollars and all the shrewd decisions it took to make it there, will look at it and say, I'm sure there's no problem with our team that keeps on narrowly beating the dregs of the NFL. Surely this is fine and sustainable, even. I hate Todd Bowles. And every single person who supports him, I don't respect you. I mean that. If we could agree on a lot of things, but if you also believe Todd Bowles is a good head coach who should absolutely retain his job instead of promoting Liam Cohen, I don't think you're intelligent.
Even Bruce Arians?
I think Bruce Arians is particularly unintelligent when it comes to these things. I think he's a brilliant play caller. I think that hiring your friends and promoting them and demanding their promotion because, and I'm not making this up, he said it in interviews, you think there needs to be more black coaches and you like these men as people, is fucking ridiculous and spits on the idea that merit exists or matters. It's one thing to want your friends to be in positions to succeed. It's another to insist upon their success in spite of their clear and obvious failure. Right now, Bruce Arians not only believes but openly lobbies for Byron Leftwich to get a head coaching job. He's the third worst offensive coordinator I've ever seen in my life. And I've watched a lot of bad football. I'm a fucking Bears fan in my childhood. I was raised watching a Mike Martz offense that traded Greg Olsen for a third-round pick because why would we use a tight end in the passing game? And every passing play was a 7-step drop. We are talking third-grade level concepts. And still, Byron Leftwich, way worse. And Bruce Arians thinks that that's a head coach. And Todd Bowles runs the worst defense in the NFL. And yet still holds on to this moniker of a defensive mastermind. For what exactly? For all out blitzing his linebackers while his safeties are 48 yards downfield taking a nap? Cowardice and incompetence manifest. Next game.
I'm glad you got that out.
We had to have something. There was no game to handicap. I got to have some entertainment value.
Wrapping up the 12 o'clock hour, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars going to play the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are minus 3.5.
For everything that Todd Bowles lacks in strategic acumen, Brian Callahan seems to lack in institutional awareness and knowledge. What does that mean? It means Todd Bowles is an idiot when it comes to like what plays to run, whether to punt or not, if you should cover a receiver or not. But Brian Callahan is totally overwhelmed and knows nothing about like teaching your offensive linemen not to move until the ball is snapped. Refusing to let opponents return every single kick for a touchdown. Like it's just all the little things. Tennessee does all the little things worse than every other team I've ever seen. And because of that, I can't bet on them as a favorite. Yeah, I think that the Titans roster is way better than the Jaguars roster with Mac Jones. But also, I think the Jaguars are way better coached.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Titans have the terrible Titans offensive line too is going to really struggle against whatever Josh Allen wants to call himself right now and Trayvon Walker. It's a bad matchup. I love the Titans. I hope they win. I got them +4. I still have them over 5.5 wins on the season, and we're really cutting it close. And I've already counted those bets as a loss, but it'd be super cool if they weren't a loss.
Yeah, but I agree with you. The Titans are a mess right now. Even though we like the quarterback, we like pretty much the entire defense.
Yep.
And the Jags have Mac Jones. At 3.5, I don't think you can do it. This is going to be a disgusting game that one of these teams is going to win by 2 points.
I was going to say, I don't think I could bet it Titans -2.5.
Yeah.
At money line, I would probably say fuck it and chuck a unit, but that's it.
Yeah. So on to the 3 o'clock hour.
I fucking guess.
First up, we have the Seattle Seahawks going to play the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are -2.5.
I'm starting to think that PFF has a glitch in their weather because I have a feeling it's not going to be 30 degrees and snowing in Glendale, Arizona, and also every other stadium.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Either way, we haven't included weather in any of our handicaps yet, so we're fine. I like the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to keep taking the Seahawks, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, but they are underrated, and there is a clear pattern. Did you know that Kyler Murray has the lowest success rate passing on third down ever? Ever. On third downs, the Cardinals are the worst team at converting to first downs by passing ever. And that makes a lot of sense because Kyler Murray can't throw from the pocket, right? Like, this is why Cliff Kingsbury was so perfect for him. With Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray could drop back, his tiny little self, throw screens because Kyler Murray he's got a really good arm. If Kyler Murray was 6'4", he would be a threat at quarterback as a passer. Throws those screens, gets the ball out there quick. That's nice. You get the yak because the ball's getting there quickly, lots of velocity. But Drew Petzing runs the same offense as Kevin Stefanski, which is a lot of throwing over the middle. It's a lot of dropping back in a true drop back or a play action drop back, surveying the field from the pocket and throwing down the field, right? Which is like the antithesis of what little Kyler likes to do, okay? He doesn't like it. He's afraid. I came in, I looked at this third down success rate. I said, this is the worst. This is a bad deal. I would get the best deal because Trump is 6'4" and Kyler is 5'7". So not only do I think that the Seahawks are a good team, like the Seahawks don't blitz a lot. That makes Kyler stay in the pocket. The Seahawks do get interior pressure, harder for Kyler Murray to run away from. The Seahawks have a smart defensive coordinator who will adjust to what he has seen work, like last week.
Yeah, or when they beat him 2 weeks ago.
Or when they beat him like last week, the Vikings kind of copied what the Seahawks did, keeping Kyler in the pocket, and then went further on it, right? So they're running contain instead of actually rushing Kyler. And it worked even better. So I think that the Seahawks are a way better team. I think defensively they match up perfectly. They're tough to run against. James Conner, bless him. I love him. Also on my fantasy team. I think he's starting to lose a step as the season drags on because he's 30-something. But if they can't run and they're forced to pass on third down against a good secondary, and you don't have the Seahawks, their issue on defense is they don't really have a pass rush. It doesn't matter. Can't pass rush Kyler anyway. They're going to blitz Devin Witherspoon off the edge. He's a corner who's fast enough, quick enough, good enough at tackling that he can handle Kyler easily. It's a perfect matchup. And then on the other side, Geno just has to not be disastrous, because when he's not being disastrous, he's a good quarterback. And this Arizona defense is putrid.
That's awful. I mean, they played 2 weeks ago. Now, granted, it was kind of a gross game in Seattle.
In the rain.
But Seattle won 16-6.
And it should have been more.
Yeah. So, now it's going to be a comfortable environment for Kyler and the Cardinals, but I don't know how much of a difference that makes. It's going to be there's basically 2 touchdown difference than the last time they played.
No, I love this game. This is the only one. Like, as soon as I saw the new lines come out this week, I was like, oh, that's my game. That's 2 units. Boom. So I think the Seahawks are a little underrated. And I really think that the Cardinals are... So remember 3 years ago when the Cardinals were hot as shit to start the season, 7-1, and everybody was like, Kyler finally arrived. First round pick Kyler had a couple of okay, not great seasons to start his career, and now he's the prince that was promised. And Cliff has him rolling, but Cliff Kingsbury kind of sucks because for whatever reason everybody's just wanted to hate Cliff Kingsbury forever. He's got for whatever reason he's got that good-looking young coach stink on him in the reverse, where everybody's like, no, actually he sucks. No, he's a really good offensive mind. He made so much more out of Kyler than anybody ever could or will. And then when that season fell apart, everybody's like, oh, it's because Cliff can't, whatever, he's bad or something. And then last year, Kyler was hurt, so there everybody's like, oh, see, that doesn't even count. Kyler comes back this year. Everybody wants Kyler to be good. First overall pick, fun highlights. Ooh. And they started off pretty hot. So I feel like we get extra value betting against the Cardinals. Weird as it is to say, we get extra value betting on the Cardinals because of people not believing in Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, I guess in a roundabout way we get there. Yeah, I think we get value betting against them in the second half of the year.
Well,
because I think it's a kind of a problem.
They were fucking lucky early in the year this year too, though. They were a fraud.
Yeah, but I think it just wears.
Yeah. Well, the basic thing with Kyler is he sucks unless... And the big unless is if Kyler can run around in the pocket, be way more athletic than you, and throw downfield, it's tough to stop him. So the Rams game, everybody's still got that Rams game stuck in their fucking urethra. All Kyler did in the first quarter against the Rams was... The Rams defense is really unathletic, and it only works because their pass rush from their front four is so damn good. Jared Verse, Defensive Rookie of the Year, definitely. Defensive Player of the Year, top 5. Kyler Murray diced them up and had an A-plus game because basically the Rams defensive line would get home, Kyler would run around, buy himself time, and chuck the ball deep against an inept and slow secondary. That's the Kyler recipe for success. The Seahawks are the opposite. The Seahawks have a relatively milquetoast defensive line, plus Leonard Williams, who's a monster. And then they have just a really good secondary. It's very athletic. It's a perfect matchup. I think we've explained enough why we like the Seahawks, and we get points. Oh my God, dude, we can get Seahawks plus 125 on the money line, and we're gonna.
Yeah, I tend to agree there.
Probably our best bet.
Yeah, I already wrote best bet next to the spread pick.
I love it.
Just because I can't imagine too much else happening in these last 4 games. But let's talk about those last 4 games. Next up in the 3 o'clock hour, we have the Buffalo Bills going to play the Los Angeles Rams. The Bills are minus 4.5.
I have thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
My gut reaction is the Bills, but 4.5 scares me, and I think the Rams are still going to be being able to score a good amount, but the Rams secondary is bad and slow. Really, their entire defense is pretty bad and slow outside of a few defensive linemen, and Josh Allen will eviscerate them.
Dude, they got Emmanuel Forbes. They're going to be A-okay.
I actually think he'll do well there.
I kind of do too. Tell me if this sounds familiar. The Rams have acquired a slow but long zone dominant cornerback who has good ball skills, and his best shot at succeeding in the league is with his brain.
You mean every player that's played?
Every fucking
defense?
every cornerback they've acquired since Sean McVay took over.
Yeah. So I think he'll do well there, but I still think the Bills are going to be able to score kind of at will.
Kinda.
The issue is that I think the Rams are still going to be able to score pretty easily.
But the problem is that the Rams will not stop running the ball up the middle on every first and second down with that shitty fucking running back.
That is a good point. It's just like if they ever stop.
But they actually last week against the Saints, they kind of did. Like McVay learned pretty, like he started to realize like, oh, I need to pass. And technically the Rams aren't out of this thing yet. They can still absolutely they could still win the division even. And so with that urgency, and they're getting healthier, Matt Stafford is still awesome. He's still a top 5, definitely top 8, probably still top 5 quarterback in this league. Fuck. I think the Bills will win. I think that the Rams could absolutely make it close. And if the Rams ended up winning, I got a weird feeling about it. If the Rams ended up winning, I would not be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, same. They have, if they want to, they can have a really good offense.
Yeah, but Sean McVay doesn't want to. He's got no dick between his legs.
Yeah.
He's an actively bad coach now. And I've started to, I'm not saying I've realized something, but I've started thinking about something, considering something. So you're very familiar with my theory on why you should always hire an offensive play calling head coach.
Yep.
If you find a good offensive play caller, make him your head coach because then nobody can steal him and you get longevity. Whereas if you find a good defensive coordinator as your coach, you're going to need a new offensive coordinator every couple years unless you hire a bad one, in which case you're probably still going to need a new offensive coordinator every year. So like best case scenario, you're replacing a good one. Worst case scenario, you're replacing a bad one. But I have realized that there's a small pitfall in my theory, which is that like every 5 to 10 years, brilliant offensive minds aren't brilliant anymore. So like 5 years ago, Sean McVay was instant playoff win, right? Like if you have Sean McVay, it doesn't matter if you have Jared Goff. It doesn't matter if you have good weapons or not. You just make the playoffs at the least. But now McVay is actively holding back a team that is good, both in personnel decisions and in philosophy. Like he doesn't have a second pitch. And cracks are starting to show a little bit with McDaniel in Miami. You know, some people are out on Stefanski in Cleveland. I think that's ridiculous. But there's a reason to believe that maybe hiring an offensive head coach is not a perfect answer because they run out of ideas and they can't innovate. Now, the counter is, okay, so you hire a new offensive coordinator to call plays and he reinvigorates the play calling.
Yep.
And your fallback is at least average play calling. But I digress. I can't bet this. I can't bet this.
No.
The Bills are ready. Like the Bills are ripe to have an off game. They've been on fire lately. They're ripe for an off game and they have them. And the Bills run the ball too much and it's hard to run against that Rams D line. I just smell something fishy. I don't know.
Yeah, I wrote this one down and like normally I'll write the spread on the side of the team that I think we're going to bet on or I want to bet on. This one I wrote the spread next to each team because I couldn't really tell who I wanted to bet on. Which is normally a sign that probably just shouldn't bet on it and should move on.
Yeah, unfortunate, but I think that's how it's got to be.
And to close out the 3 o'clock hour, we have the Chicago Bears going to play the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are -4.
Yuck.
Yeah. Sweet as that.
Should I go to this game?
Are you going to be in San Francisco?
Not necessarily, but I always can be.
That's fair.
No, I'm not going to go. I hate San Francisco.
I was about to say, and you're going to be an opposing fan at a San Francisco sporting event?
It sounds fun, but then you realize that's exactly how you get shot, like everybody else that goes to 49ers games.
You're not going to make it out. Luckily, it's not like a Raiders 49ers game or a Dodgers Giants game.
I did a Dodgers Giants playoff game in a Dodgers hat.
Yeah.
I didn't get threatened, but that's only because I'm so charming. I was confronted, but I handled it well.
Yeah, then you should go. You'll be fine. Especially because you kind of hate the Bears, so.
I do kind of hate the Bears. I mean, both of these teams are kind of pathetic right now. Like,
yeah, they are.
The 49ers are down their top 2 running backs. So, like, is Isaac Guerrero really going to be as efficient? Probably, but I don't know. I think probably,
Yeah, I
honestly.
mean, I honestly
doesn't
don't
matter.
expect that much of a drop off.
It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter even a little bit. In fact, go get your Isaac Guerrero overs because it's gonna hit. It's gonna fucking work, dude. I don't know how to handle the Bears because Thomas Brown's been pretty solid as an offensive coordinator since taking over 3 weeks ago. But I say solid, not great. Like it's fine. It's not reinventing the wheel. He's not drawing up plays that are getting dudes wide open in space. It's just quick plays, right? It's fine. The 49ers could be having a letdown spot just because like last week against the Bills was a big game. And if they won, it would have totally changed the outlook on their playoff hopes. And they lost in bad fashion and got both of their top two running backs hurt, including Christian McCaffrey. And George Kittle sounded really pissed about not getting the ball. And the shine just continues to come off Brock Purdy. What a terrible contract year he's having. Remember when PFF said he was the best quarterback in the NFL like a month ago? And they still have him ranked 12th? PFF, worth the money, I guess.
I mean, the vibes in San Francisco seem horrible.
But the vibes in Chicago are weird because they're thrilled that Eberflus is gone and they're thrilled that Thomas Brown took over. I have half a mind to read the George McCaskey tweet right now because it's so goddamn funny. But my dad and I read it like 8 times yesterday trying to figure out what it means, and we don't really know. We're so proud of the success. What fucking success? The success that will lead us forward. What? What does that even mean? Like I literally don't know what it means. And also, what success? So Thomas Brown's a solid offensive coordinator, but is he a head coach already even? Like the man has been an offensive coordinator for 3 fucking games and now he's already promoted. It just feels like it feels like a recipe for a guy getting overwhelmed.
Wasn't he the interim coach with Carolina last year?
I believe he was the interim offensive coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Let me check. Yeah, he was just the interim offensive coordinator. Yeah, I don't know. Going from what?
Who was their head coach after they fired Reich? Oh, man, I don't even know anymore. When the hell was Nebraska man there?
Before Reich.
Rule? Yeah. Was he?
Yeah, it was when Baker was there.
Reich was only there for, what, a year and a half?
6 games.
Seriously? He was only there 6 games? That's insane. What a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it's sad, too, because he's not a bad coach. Didn't the Panthers go with, like, Wilkes or something?
Chris Tabor,
Bears special teams coach legend.
He
and
was in
Browns.
Cleveland forever before he went to Chicago too. Both of us got to experience that man. There you go.
Oh, dude, Tabor did a Browns sandwich. He was Bears, Browns, Bears.
That's rough.
Yeah, that sucks. It feels like everything's happening a little too fast for Thomas Brown, and I feel like him becoming a head coach while also being a first-time play caller could be. So I don't know. It's scary, but we do have to find 2 more bets. I guess I lean 49ers.
I lean Chicago.
My rationale is that the 49ers players don't actually matter at all. All that matters is Kyle Shanahan and the defense. And the defense is solid, and Kyle Shanahan is still Kyle Shanahan. Whereas the Bears, even with Thomas Brown, kind of suck on offense and have been really lucky to be.
Yeah, but I think that they are more competent. And they it's like when you run the ball a lot. You increase variance, you limit the other team's opportunities.
But
and I think they're more like that.
Did you watch the Bears' first half last week?
Yes, but
Did you watch the Bears' first half the week before?
But that's against 2 of the better teams in the league with very good defenses. Well, not a very good defense, but an offense that effectively makes the defense good.
No, that's fair. That's very fair. When's the last time the Bears looked good on offense for a whole game?
When did Nagy get fired?
Yeah.
The year before.
Yeah. Well, no. Remember that Andy Dalton game? The Andy Dalton revenge game, his last year?
Oh, yeah. You're right, you're right.
A week before ownership demanded that Nagy bench Dalton for Fields, and then Fields immediately came in and had the worst game I've ever seen any quarterback ever have. Yay!
So my rationale is we're getting 4. I think the Bears are going to get the new head coach bump.
True.
Both the 49ers, the vibes are bad. They're hurt. They're not playing for much anything anymore. Purdy's not going to be there next year. Well, he might be.
Dude, Purdy's playing for his entire career, and the 49ers are 2 games out of the playoffs with division games to end the year. So they're totally still in it.
Yeah, but it feels like they can't.
To us, To the
That's fair.
delusional athletes who all think they're the fastest man alive, they think they got a shot, dude.
They've just been bad lately.
I
Like,
know,
not-
but they were bad against the Bills. They were bad against, real teams.
the Packers, the
They were bad.
Seahawks.
Hold on. They were bad against the Packers on a slippery ass Lambeau Field in bad weather with their backup quarterback. They had a tight game against the division leading Seahawks. They beat our Buccaneers.
Yeah, but that was the Buccaneers with no receivers.
And Todd Bowles blowing the game at the end, even though Baker already won it.
Yeah.
But still, they think that they're hot.
They barely beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, but that was when they still had Dak.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I don't know. I just don't think they've played well the last few weeks. Yeah, it has been against really good teams.
I agree with you. They haven't played well. You know who else hasn't? The Bears. And they're gonna be better without Eberflus, but they're not gonna be good.
Yeah, but they've played teams that are better than the 49ers the last 2 weeks.
And they got
had
beat.
closer games.
They were lucky to be close. They needed a last minute touchdown, an onside kick, and a field goal to make it a close game against the Vikings, despite the Vikings turning the ball over at the goal line twice. They needed the Lions to lose 8 starters on defense and a drop.
They didn't lose all of them last week.
No, but they lost 5 of them last week.
It's something like that.
And the Lions fumbled at the goal line, and the Lions dropped an interception in the end zone, and they still lost by 3. The Bears have been lucky as all fuck for 3 straight weeks and still can't win.
Oh, yeah, but they just need to cover a field goal. They're +4. Fired the bad man.
They fired the bad man.
And they've been playing closer. They've been covering that number against better teams the last 2 weeks.
What does Caleb Williams do poorly? What is his kryptonite? He takes
Deep
sacks.
balls.
He takes sacks he shouldn't, and he can't throw deep. The 49ers are going to have Leonard Floyd and Nick Bosa all up in his ass. He's going to take sacks, and you've got Fred Warner taking away quick throws, so you have to throw downfield.
That's a good point. So we just can't bet on this game.
We can't bet on this fucking game. I hate it. Because, if you just look at the 49ers' last couple losses, they lost to the Bills in the snow. It was a weird, fluky game. That is what it is.
Yeah, but they haven't just been losing the last few weeks. They've been getting fucking shit on.
They got shat on by the Packers. How did the Packers well, yes. I'm throwing the Bills out just because the 49ers looked like they had no idea what snow was.
I mean, I think if you're going to throw out that game, you should throw out Green Bay where they didn't have Bosa, Trent Williams, or Purdy.
Yeah, and more bad weather. They were slipping all over. I think I counted 6 passes that Brandon Allen threw accurately, but the receiver slipped and didn't catch. So you got 2 bad weather games, both of them against explosive quarterbacks who throw deep. Baker throws deep. Geno throws deep.
They haven't covered in 5 weeks. They've covered twice since week 4.
Yeah. It's not good. I think the 49ers are overrated as shit. I've been fading them all year right here with you, but fucking, it's the Bears. I just can't do it. I can't do it. We got 2 more games. We got 2 more games. We got to find 2 more games.
We're going to have to bet on Carolina +12.5.
Honestly, the fallback is looking tasty.
For Sunday night, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going to play the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are -4.
The battle of frauds. We have the fraudulent coach, Jim Harbaugh, and the fraudulent quarterback, Pat Mahomes. Both of them kind of suck. Nobody will ever admit it, even though we all kind of see and acknowledge it all the time. Do you believe that the referees will create a penalty that allows the Kansas City Chiefs to pick up a fumble to win this game?
Probably.
Okay. You know why we have to take the Chargers +4?
What?
Because the Chiefs literally never cover a spread bigger than 3.
Hey, go pull up their spread history for the year.
Sir, this is literally Mahomes' entire career. They never cover a line bigger than 3.
Hey, they covered 5 against the Saints in week 5.
Congratulations. It's literally the only time it's happened this year. They never cover when they're laying more than 3. So earlier in the podcast, we said maybe we don't bet on Harbaugh against good teams. Are we sure how sure are we that the Chiefs are a good team?
I don't know.
I kind of think they're fucking not, dude. The The Raiders just took him to the woodshed. The Raiders should have beat him twice. Mahomes has been bad again.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say he doesn't have receivers because he's got DeAndre fucking Hopkins and Xavier Worthy, and Travis Kelce is a shell of himself, but Noah Gray's pretty good himself. He's got dudes. Not stars, but that's plenty, decent enough. That's consummate. I think we can agree. It's certainly better than having only Lad McConkey and then a bunch of guys who seem to hate you because why else would they be dropping your passes?
You're right, but
Last time these teams played, Justin Herbert played like shit and still had a chance to win the game late. Justin Herbert hasn't played like shit in a long time.
he played kind of bad last week.
Yeah, but not nearly as bad. I gave him like a CC plus. He was okay.
Yeah.
Whereas like a C plus would be one of the best games Mahomes has played this year. Like barely exaggerating. A C plus would be an above average game for Mahomes this year. Not a joke.
I mean, I'd be fine doing the Chargers because I like their defense. The issue with the Chiefs receivers is that for the most part, they're pretty fucking slow.
Oh, they're slow and then Worthy, but Worthy doesn't really know how to play football.
Exactly. So the guys that they're relying on of Hopkins, Kelce, Juju, maybe, McCole Hardman, I don't know.
Hardman can't play football.
They're not, they're not movers.
Yeah.
And you're playing against a smart, disciplined defense.
A zone defense, which is good. It's a heavy zone defense. It's lots of cover 4. That means you're not gonna get busted coverages very much because Mahomes is scrambling around, right? You're gonna have people staying disciplined to their areas. You've actually got pretty good corners. So Christian Fulton just has no ball skills at all. If he had any ball skills whatsoever, he'd be a really good corner, but he just gets lost with the ball in the air. But Mahomes doesn't throw it up, right? Mahomes doesn't throw jump balls, so it doesn't matter. Lamar did, and that embarrassed Fulton, right? And Kirk Cousins does, and that embarrassed Fulton. But that's not Mahomes' game. His deep ball sucks, and he never uses it. It doesn't suck. It's slightly below average, but he doesn't use it. On the other side still is a really good big zone slot with good ball skills, right? He's not very fast, but he does everything right. And that's exactly what you want to go up against Nuke Hopkins. And then Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa against these offensive tackles is a legitimate mismatch. But I don't think that the Chiefs are going to have a ton of success in the run game just because I really like the linebackers for the Chargers. And the Chargers, as a team, their philosophy is stop the run first. I think that the Chiefs will continue to struggle on offense against the Chargers. I don't see this as a breakout game. And then flip to the other side. Okay, here's the issue I see. The Chiefs decided they don't need a wide receiver at 5 so that they could bolster their offensive line. Did you see that tweet thread that I went on last week, by the way? The Chiefs spent the 5th overall pick to improve from the 15th best offensive line to the 13th best offensive line in pass blocking. Because offensive tackle was never their problem. The interior is. And now that interior has to go up against Chris Jones. Like, I am 100% certain that Herbert will have all the time in the world he wants, except for Chris Jones. Chris Jones will be on the inside too, because basically he just goes wherever he thinks the worst offensive lineman is and he dominates them. That's his whole, he has the authority to just move around at the snap and be like, no, you're playing defensive end now. I'm defensive tackle. Wait, no, switch. So Herbert's going to have to manage that, but he is one of the best pocket managing quarterbacks in the world. He's incredible. He can run. He can throw. God damn it to hell. This is going to be a low-scoring game. This is going to be a low-scoring game, and it basically comes down to which quarterback's going to play better. No, it doesn't, because Andy Reid could steal this game by being Andy Reid. Fuck. Chiefs are better, but we're getting 4.
Yeah, I'm kind of onto the Chargers because, fuck it, we're catching 4. It's a division game. It's late in the year. The Chargers have been playing better. The Chiefs, some of that shine is wearing off. And even if the refs give them, a decisive call,
the refs will fuck us. The refs will fuck us on a late game interception or something. But they never fuck you by a touchdown.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Well, they could fuck us by a touchdown, but I feel like it's more likely that it's just the subtle one. And
it's a low-scoring game, and we're catching more than a field goal. It's that simple. Low-scoring divisional game, more than a field goal. And we need 2 more picks.
Exactly, and we need bets. Well, let's talk about Monday night, and then we can round out these bets. On Monday night, we have the Cincinnati Bengals going to play the Dallas Cowboys. The Bengals are -5.5.
God bless it. Why can't we have just good competitive football games to watch?
I don't know. They want us to do something else.
I was going to say, it smells like hockey season to me. I will not be watching this in all likelihood. And then when the game comes on, I will turn it on and chart it anyway because I want to bitch about Joe Burrow being a fraud.
Yep.
Isn't it great how Joe Burrow is the MVP of the NFL because he had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns last week, even though 150 of those yards came after the game was out of hand, and 2 of those touchdowns came after the game was out of hand, and the game was out of hand because he fumbled twice, and one of those went back for a touchdown, and he also threw an interception. Yay!
It's just Deshaun Watson all over again.
It is exactly Deshaun Watson all over again. Cowboys are the bet. Cooper Rush hasn't been as bad as I thought, and I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a backup, but he's a backup. I thought he might be a bad backup. The Cowboys defense seems to be back for some unbelievable reason. And don't look now, but the Cowboys are also still technically in the playoff race. They're in contention for a wild card spot. They're not going to get it, but they probably think they can. Every year, we think that teams have given up, and then we remind ourselves, oh no, these guys are fucking delusional. They always think they have a chance.
Or they're playing for their next contract. Well,
that's the thing. Micah Parsons is playing for a contract right now. Deron Bland is playing for a contract. Malik Hooker is constantly battling to stay in the NFL. Hey, PFF thinks Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the world.
Well, yeah. Did you see how many yards he has?
They can't stop doing dumb shit.
The Bengals defense is atrocious right now.
The Bengals defense sucks ass, and then Micah Parsons is going to rain havoc on Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow can't outrun Micah Parsons.
No. I mean, Jamar's going to get a touchdown and 140 yards.
It's going to be...
That's all it is.
It's going to be hilarious, too. Like, you know how this is going to go. After the game, everybody's going to be bitching about how Joe Burrow's defense let him down again, and he had so many yards, and they still can't win, even against a backup quarterback. And in reality, Joe Burrow will have played poorly, but nobody will care because the box score will be nicey. Nobody is going to bet on the Cowboys in this game. We should.
I'm honestly fine with it. I mean, I think it's a good number. The Cowboys have showed, even without Dak, they can still at least look like a competent team. Yep. They're not good, but they're competent. And the Bengals can score some points, but their defense is so bad. The Cowboys match up decent. We have a home dog at 5.5 with a home dog that has a better record. I know, yeah, they have a worse quarterback in, but I don't think we need to overthink it.
Look, most weeks I wouldn't bet this, but we need 5 fucking picks for the fucking contest, God damn it.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's it. That's our 5 picks.
With that one,
our picks are going to be Green Bay plus 3.5, Seattle plus 2.5, San Diego plus 4, Dallas plus 5.5, and I guess Carolina plus 12.5.
Yeah, I was going to say it's only 5 if we're doing the backup.
Well, who else are we going to throw in there?
The only other games we even talked about were Buffalo and the Rams, where we have to pick a 4.5. I mean, we could go with the big home dog again instead of Carolina on a prayer.
Dude, I don't really care that much. I don't like any of these games.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I like Seattle.
Dude, we're taking all underdogs. Which honestly is a good bet. Like, if you don't know, bet underdogs. Underdogs typically are better against the spread, very slightly.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. We could flip a coin between whether we take Carolina 12.5 or the Rams 4.5. But
you know how I know we're gonna have a huge week this week, despite the fact that I don't like these bets. Every schmo who watched Thanksgiving football and consumes ESPN Sports Center for their like in-depth football takes is going to say, the Lions are unstoppable. You got to bet the Lions. We're fading the Lions. They're going to say, Philadelphia might be a Super Bowl contender. You have to bet on Philadelphia. And we're betting against Philadelphia. And they're going to say, you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. And we're going to bet against Patrick Mahomes. And they're going to say, Joe Burrow's probably even the MVP. And we're going to say, we're betting against Joe Burrow with a backup quarterback. We're making the grossest, most unpopular bets possible.
I agree, except for Green Bay, Detroit. Because Green Bay won very cleanly, whereas Detroit almost lost to the Bears, who everyone laughs at.
Counterpoint, Jared Goff is like an MVP candidate, and Dan Campbell might be the best coach in the NFL.
That's fair. They do have the hype.
Did you know that the Lions are the best against the spread team in the NFL? And also they have the second best record, and they're probably going to win the Super Bowl.
Aren't they tied for the best record now?
I don't care. I'm just parroting bullshit I've heard on Pardon My Take. All right, that's the pod. We have a minute left on this Zoom, so we got to get going. So, Taylor fail. We don't care. This week's weird. 1 unit on everything and 3 units on Seattle. Fuck it. Till next week, please bet on football games.
Are we doing 2 units on the spread and 1 on money line for Seattle, or what are we doing?
Yeah.
2 spread, 1 money line.
Yeah.
Cool.
Bye.